What's going on, guys? It's Brandon back here again today, and as you can tell by the sound of my voice, I am not feeling great. It's just perfect timing. The first day of fall, I get sick, or somewhat sick. I'm not really, congested or anything, even though my voice sounds like it. And, I'm exhausted, but I've been trying to get this video up, and now it's finally rolling, so I gotta do it now or never, because preseason starts tomorrow. And I want to get my preseason power rankings up there. So, yeah, after this video, I'm not sure if I'll make another video this weekend. I'm trying to recover as quick as I can. So I got a football game that I'm doing statistics work for tonight. So it's gonna be first 50 night of the year. So that's just gonna be fantastic. And then I have, of course, homecoming. So fantastic time to get sick. But let's get right into this. Starting off with my power rankings, preseason power rankings for the 2022-23 season. The first team on the board, number 32 overall, who I have predicted, is going to be, if I can get the magnet, I kind of squeeze this board in here a little bit, moving down one spot from where they last were at the end of last season, so the off-season's already happened, and this is where I basically rank them going into the season. If I could... Once. Does that still work well? Yeah, it still does, alright. So if you heard that sound, I'm a bit sorry. But number 32, the Arizona Coyotes. I went back and forth between them and Chicago. I honestly think they might have a better team this year than they did last year. However, I'm not... I also think that with Chicago also tanking, their efforts might be... Players don't care about tanking. They want to win as much as they can. So the Coyotes, them and Chicago competing for that final spot for Bedard. The number 2 pick is supposed to be Michkov, so that should be a consolation prize to the loser of the number 1 overall pick. But the Coyotes, nothing but getting worse. Now Chychrun has been saying some stuff. There were some deals supposed to be in place that fell through. Probably the Coyotes want too much for him, but we'll see how that goes. So number 32, the Arizona Coyotes. Now at number 1, moving down 4 spots from where they ended last season, off the Chicago Blackhawks. As the memos have been going around here, tank for Bedard, an appropriate one that I will not be saying on the show, as there's bound to be some children that watch eventually. And, so Chicago moving into number 31. It's going to be a long rebuild, and I'll be here to cover most of it, hopefully. And hopefully by the time, if I am still doing YouTube by then, hopefully I can get them in, get a playoff BFR on, or something like that. You got guys like Domi, Athanasiou, Stalock, and Mrazek as your goalie tandem. Who's the other guy they got? My head's not with it, as you can tell right now. It was Athanasiou, it was Domi, and it was drawing a blank. But Reichel's coming up. He's hopefully going to start making an impact. Taves and Kane. We don't know what's going to happen there, and probably not going to be traded at the start of the season, probably near the deadline if they are. Otherwise, they'll just walk to free agency. Maybe they'll resign, maybe they won't if they do, so who knows. But yeah, so number 31, we have Chicago. Now, moving down one spot from where they finished last year with a new coach, as Chicago does as well with Luke Richardson behind the bench, the Philadelphia Flyers. John Tortorella now the head coach there, and I don't know what Philly's doing, to be honest. They seem to try and be in contention. Chuck Fletcher being your GM is, yeah. But, Ristolainen going to be around for another 5 years. Hopefully he has a bounce-back year for that contract. Atkinson seems to be their most consistent player. Wait, no, Arvidsson is their most consistent player. Is it Atkinson or is it Arvidsson? Arvidsson was traded. No, Arvidsson went to LA. Atkinson went to Philadelphia for Voracek. That's right. So yeah, Atkinson was the most consistent player on their team. Hopefully he can keep doing things that he does. Philadelphia unwillingly is probably in this hunt for Bedard. So yeah, number 30, the Philadelphia Flyers. Now number 29, moving down 7 spots from where they ended last season, and with the Pacific Division getting so much better, and this team getting worse. The San Jose Sharks moving down 7 spots. What's there to say? They still have Carlson going to be around for a while. They have Vlasic that's going to be around for a while. They traded off Burns, so see how they get back there. They traded Aiden Hill. Well, believe it was to. Was it? Yeah, it was Hill. Hill has gone to Vegas to either play the backup role or third goaltender, whoever wins that starting job there. So yeah, San Jose probably Mike Greer, the GM, is trying to put them in the direction of a rebuild, but can't really do it with those contracts that they have still with Carlson, and Coach Georgia signed his, and Hurdle signed his, and Joe Thornton might be coming back to play. So right now it's up in the air for San Jose. If he does come back, wow. But if this is it for him, what a great career. But 29, San Jose, those are the 4 teams that I can consider down for the count so far. Now, moving down 4 spots, this might be a little controversial, but it's just because the league, I think, is going to be very much more... it's going to be more even this year. There were some teams that were pretty far ahead, like Florida at 122 points, Colorado 119. I think those point totals are going to come down. But Buffalo would not mind definitely getting Bedard. They got a lot of young talent. However, they did basically nothing in the offseason except getting Eric Comrie, who looks to be their starting goaltender. We'll see how that goes. He had a good year in Winnipeg, even though Winnipeg did not. But Craig Anderson's sticking around, and all the kids should be better. And hopefully Alex Tuch is going to... I can assume Alex Tuch is going to be the one to bear the C, or maybe Kyle Oposo. Jeff Skinner's on the table, too. The Buffalo Sabres announced today that they would name a captain before the start of the season. So we'll see how that goes. Now, people probably expected Montreal to be lower. I think that they're better than people are giving them credit for. Now that they're going to have a full year under Marty St. Louis, and Suzuki's captain, Caulfield should be better, and a bunch of other players, Doc being brought in. No Carey Price, but we'll see. So, number 27, we have Montreal. Moving up 5 spots from where they were last year. Only the first team to move up. So yeah, Montreal, that's pretty much all there is right there. Teams that I don't think are going to make the playoffs. The Atlantic Division is going to be pretty top-heavy, so we'll see how that goes for them. Those two I kind of see as the bottom of the bin, but I think Montreal will be better. Buffalo, maybe a bit worse. They finished 5th in the division last year. I think they kind of overachieved once Jack Eichel was traded. But, yeah, we'll see. Now, at number 26, moving down 3 spots from where they finished last year, we have Anaheim. Now, they went on and got some players. They got John Klingberg, they got Frank Vetrano, they got Ryan Strome. Players that you would usually buy if you're ending a retool and you're like, okay, we're starting to hopefully make the playoffs. Along to go with that, you already have Zegers and Terry there, John Gibson and net. But Anaheim, it's a huge crack in my leg that hurt. But yeah, Anaheim, I don't think they're a playoff team yet. I think they'll finish higher than San Jose, but they are working up to something. Zegers being on the cover of NHL 23, shouting out to the young players in the game, the young upcoming superstars. We'll see what Zegers can do this season. And yeah, that's number 26, the Anaheim Ducks. And moving down 7 spots, and this is another one that could be controversial, but the Winnipeg Jets. What the heck is going on in Winnipeg? I couldn't tell you. Locker room issues, Dubois said by itself, Wheeler being stripped of the captaincy, new coach and Rick Bowness. It's all happy-go-lucky going on over there. I think they have an excellent top 6 with Wheeler and Scheifele and Ehlers and Connor, and then, of course, Cole Perfetti coming up in the lineup, and their defense is around mid-tier, Josh Morrissey being the back end of that. Connor Hellebuck in net is good, and then they bring in David Riddick to play the backup. Good luck, Winnipeg. But, yeah, that's really Winnipeg. It's just a mess, and I think they'll finish better than teams that are tanking, but it's not going to be a pretty season for Winnipeg. So, yeah. Now, moving into the second row we have here, moving up 4 spots from where they finished last year. And a big credit to getting Andre Palat, and hopefully Jack Hughes and Nico Hischier will be better. So, yeah, New Jersey Devils, hopefully Hughes has a healthy season. Had a good season. He was over a point a game last season until his injuries. But, yeah, New Jersey should be better. They should be getting better every year as some of the older teams in the league start to fall off in that division. Pittsburgh and Washington. Columbus is just getting up there. The Rangers have just got there. And Carolina looks to be a sustained team. So maybe I think the farthest New Jersey could possibly go is a wild card, but that's unlikely. Islanders are also, we'll see how that goes there, because moving down 3 spots from where I had last year, we have the New York Islanders. New York Islanders did literally nothing in the offseason. Missed out on Kadri, missed out on Gaudreau. I don't know what Lou Lamoriello was planning on doing with this team. They could absolutely bounce back, but the Metropolitan is going to be a good division this season. And the only teams I can see them finishing ahead of are possibly New Jersey, who they'll be fighting for that 6th and 7th spot, I think. And, of course, Philadelphia should be down and out. So we'll see how that goes between those two close rivals, Long Island and New Jersey, not too far away from each other. So it should be a good battle going on down there to see who can finish lower and who can finish higher. No playoffs for either of them, though. So moving up 8 spots, and I really like what they've done with their offseason. The Seattle Kraken. I made the mistake last year of ranking them too high. I might have done it this year again as well, but I think they made some really good additions. Andre Burakovsky, Martin Jones, Burakovsky off a cup, Martin Jones off a good year in Philly when Philly was not good at all. But yeah, guys in there, Justin Schultz being added on the D end, Matty Beniers and Shane Wright should be getting a full year of each of them. We'll see how these future stars can pan out, or if there will be bust talkings already. We'll see. Shane Wright dropping to 4th, he's going to have a lot of motivation, especially when they play Montreal, and they should be finishing above Montreal. So we'll see how that goes for Seattle for their second season. That is. Now in the number 21st spot, we have a team that's dropping 6 spots, and I kind of had to do it just off the recent news of Jason Robertson in Dallas. Says he will not play training camp, and if this team doesn't have Robertson, this team don't have no goals. Unless you're getting Hintz and Pavelski, who's playing in between there, because Ben and Sagan have just disappeared in some ways, it seems. They're getting older. Jake Ottinger's been signed in net, so that's settled. Hopefully it's just not just a one-year wonder there. And Dallas always does this. They always have a good season. They'll make the playoffs. They peaked in 2016. They were first in the division. Beat Minnesota in the first round, I think it was, and then lost to Anaheim in the second, I think. Was it? Yeah. Then 2014, of course. Or no, that was St. Louis in 2016. And then 2014, they lost to Anaheim in the first round after being a wild card. Missed playoffs. Second round, missed playoffs. No. Did they miss the playoffs? Yeah. Missed playoffs again. 2019, Game 7 of the second round. Lose to St. Louis again in 7. Then you have 2020, they go to the final. 2021, they fall off completely. And even though Joe Pavelski's playing like he's 20 rather than 40 almost. And then you have this year where they make it as a wild card, push Calgary to the limit single-handedly. Jake Ottinger does that. And so Dallas, it's going to be a down year for them, I think. But if Robertson get the deal signed, who knows what could happen here. I've already made my predictions and I'm going to stand by them. Now moving down 10 spots, and this could change. The Boston Bruins, number 20. Boston, without Marchand, without McAvoy, without Grzelcyk to start the season. Pastrnak does not have a contract. Bergeron and Krejci are back. However, Bergeron and Krejci are old. Who knows when that fall-off is going to take place. Bergeron might be taking a more defensive role. Krejci, he's been away from the North American game for a couple of years, so let's see how he comes back. He's obviously older. So we'll get basically getting the gang back together one more time. And, of course, Chara signing a one-day contract. Team's at an emotional high. New coach as well, so Boston's looking to hopefully get a good start going, but their injuries might be the thing that holds them back. And when those injuries mend, of course, they could bounce back right away, but will it be too late is the question. Now at number 19, moving up 6 spots from where I had them last season at the end, Detroit. Detroit is going to be better. They've brought in Kubalik, they brought in Perron, they brought in I love how I thought of Kubalik first. That's the Hawk fan in me. They brought in Ville Husso to solidify a basically 1A and 1B goaltending pair, I think. Those are 2 young goaltenders, Husso and Nedeljkovic. Nedeljkovic off a down year. Let's see if he can bounce back. When you have multiple 10-goal games go against you, that's something. Not to mention Chicago beat you 8-5. Strome had a hat trick. It was funny. But, Detroit, we'll see how that goes for them. They should be getting back into the playoff hunt in the next few years. Older teams in the Atlantic like Boston, Tampa, Toronto without Matthews in a few years could be interesting if he doesn't re-sign. So, so Detroit going to start slowly creeping up the standings every year by year. And Eichmann is expecting playoffs this year, I think. So we'll see if he can get his team going. Now, at number 18, we have a team that moved down 5 spots this season, and I dropped the magnet. I think I finished them they were a playoff team this season. They should have probably beat Florida in the first round. An empty net caused the series just to collapse. Number 18, Capitals. Ovechkin's going to still score probably like 45. If he doesn't score 50, he's still fine for going for the record. Ovechkin, I think, is going to do it. It's not a point of whether he is going to do it. I think it's when he's going to do it. It won't be this season. I think he can pass Gordie Howe this season if he has a good year. If Washington has a good year, that's also going to be missing Backstrom. They brought in Dylan Strome. They have a whole new goaltending tandem they got rid of Samsonov and Vanacek. Vanacek went to the Devils, Samsonov to the Leafs. They brought in Darcy Kemper, who, oh, by the way, just won a Stanley Cup. And they brought in the third-string goaltender who was in St. Louis, who became the backup once Husso left. And then Lindgren moved on to play with Washington. So we'll see how this goes for them. And if they can stay in the playoffs, it's just I would say a losing battle. I don't know. Ovechkin, only place I can see him getting another cup is at the end of his career if he goes to a contender. I'm going to be honest. I don't see Washington getting another one for a while because they're going to be in a rebuild soon. Of course, they have Kuznetsov still around. Who knows how that's going to go, so we'll see. 17, now just right on the playoff push, but will just fall short. Moving down 12 spots and losing Kevin Fiala and Cam Talbot in the offseason due to cap reasons. Minnesota. Just outside the playoffs. They're going to have Kaprizov. Their young guys are going to have to step up if they want to make a move, like Boldy and Rossi. They got guys like Zuccarello who are getting older now, but still had good seasons last season. Fleury, obviously, and that's a huge factor. If he can continue his play, and they should be good. They were the only team I predicted to win a series that did not last season. So, Minnesota, my expectation... excuse me. My expectations are down a bit. Excuse me, I'm going to stop for a second. Sorry about that, guys. Anyway, jeez. Feels like there's tears coming out of my eyes. Like, it was a few burps and jeez. But, 17, Minnesota. Yeah, so just outside the playoffs. Washington outside the playoffs in the East. We'll see how that goes. Now, barely getting into the playoffs in the East. And the winners of the big fish of free agency moving up 5 spots, and no one knew they were even in the picture. The Columbus Blue Jackets claiming that second wild card in the East. Columbus, we got Line and Gaudreau locked up. The time to strike is now. They had to trade off Bjorkstrand because of the cap. Gaudreau isn't an upgrade. Bjorkstrand was someone who potted goals, and Gaudreau, although he had 40 goals last season, he's probably not going to get that in Columbus. He'll be passing to Line. Line needs to have a really good year for Columbus to do this. I think he can. And it's going to be a test for also Merzlikins and Korpisalo to have bounce-back years. Merzlikins was okay. Korpisalo was awful. So we'll see how that goes. And they obviously have some young defensemen like Boqvist and Werenski and Gavrikov on the back end. So we'll see. Now, moving up 11 spots. Is that the biggest jump we have? No, Minnesota going down 12 was the biggest jump. Moving up 11 spots, claiming the first wild card, the Ottawa Senators. What hasn't this team done in the offseason besides get Jacob Chychrun? DeBrincat, Giroux, Stützle locked up, Norris locked up, full season of Batherson hopefully. Guys in the middle 6 and bottom 6 you can play. Got guys in the defense like Shabbat and Hamonic is going to be a mentor to some of the young defensemen with Jake Sanderson coming up. Eric Brandstrom, we'll see how he does. Ottawa's goaltending, and of course they made the trade with Minnesota. Cam Talbot and Anton Forsberg seem to be their goaltending tandem. They ran 3 goalies last year with Murray. It was Forsberg, and it was Gustafsson. So Minnesota gets Gustafsson, and Ottawa gets Talbot. I think Ottawa gets the better goaltender, but Minnesota gets some cap relief. So, yeah. Now, moving up to number 14, we have the number 2 wild card in the West, moving up 3 spots from where they finished. Vegas. They don't have a goaltender, some say. Logan Thompson, if he can follow up what he did, they should be good. Aiden Hill as a backup isn't a bad choice, even though he had a down year. And Laurent Brossoit should be back before you know it, even though Robin Leonard, I honestly prefer Thompson, to be fair. So same with Hill over to Brossoit. but Lehner's going to be out for the year. Jack Eichel, fully healthy season, should be interesting to watch. Mark Stone, if he can stay healthy. Of course, Pacioretty's gone. Coughlin's gone. It's going to be up to their veterans like Martinez and Theodore and Pietrangelo all to step up. McNabb in there as well. And of course, they've got a middle of the pack offense. It's going to be their defense that's going to be carrying them, I think, a bit this season. If Eichel can score 90 points, this team should be in the playoffs. If he can score 100, then yeah, I think he'll be back on the radar of some redrafts. So we'll see how that goes for Vegas. Now, moving down one spot from where I finished last year, it's the smallest drop, that's for sure. There's a couple times one goes up or down. Pittsburgh at number 13. They re-signed Malkin. They re-signed Letang. They re-signed Rust. And they're bringing the gang back. And is it a good idea? For now, yes. For the future, absolutely not. They're career Penguins, that was clear. Letang's going to be 41 when his contract expires. Malkin, I think, is going to be 39 or 40. Maybe 41. So we'll see how that goes for Pittsburgh. Never count out the Pittsburgh Penguins. Never count out Sidney Crosby, although he is obviously going to get older. He's still a great player. There's a reason he was called the next one, even though I think McDavid has surpassed that, honestly. I would honestly call McDavid the next one. But, yeah, we'll see how Pittsburgh does. Number 12, moving down to 3 spots, and I think this was generous of me, because St. Louis losing one of their top scorers. They lost Perron, and they gave Thomas, and they gave Kyrou. Was the Thomas extension done before, or I don't remember. But Kyrou also gets an equivalent extension with the same exact thing, and it's going to be interesting. Binnington has to play up to what he was in the playoffs before he got hurt. If he can do that, then St. Louis has a chance. The defense, they got Krug there, they got Falk, they got other guys, younger guys that showed they can play in the playoffs, and when guys got hurt. So we'll see for sure. Parayko's in there as well. We'll see for sure how St. Louis will, as they're an older team, they're starting to get up there. We'll see how they respond to possible teams like Minnesota taking that final spot. And if you haven't noticed, St. Louis, I realize how I said third in the Central. That's because I think the number 1 wild card is going to finish right above them, moving up 3 spots. LA in the number 1 wild card in the West. Bringing in Kevin Fiala, good decision. Unfortunately, the Pacific Division, all it did was get better. So we'll see how this goes for LA. That was pretty much the only move they made. They re-signed a couple guys like Mikey Anderson. LA, pretty much the same team as last year. If Dano can replicate his performance, if not better, playing with having Fiala on the first line, hopefully with some younger guys like Kempe, we'll see how they can do. But yeah, LA at number 11, and we'll see how that goes. Moving up I don't know what number, 8 spots. Jeez, I don't know how I wrote that. Moving up 8 spots from where I had them finishing last season. You have another Pacific Division team, number 3 in my eyes, the Vancouver Canucks. The Vancouver Canucks, it is their time. Full season of Boudreau, no more Travis Green, no more Jim Benning. You have Pettersson, Besser, Miller locked up. Besser for a little bit, and Pettersson, we'll see. Quinn Hughes. Oliver Ekman-Larsson is excited to play with Hughes. He should be better. He had a decent year last season. Tyler Myers has to prove he's worth that contract in the final 2 years, but Vancouver should be a playoff team. Among those, you have Kuzmenko coming over from the KHL. You have Tanner Pearson. You have Bo Horvat, who's going to be doing his contract next summer. Nils Hoglander's still there. He's a young piece that I really like, and I think he has some upside. You also have Travis Dermott as a young defenseman on the back end. And in net, you have Demko. Should be solid. This should be a solid team. However, things have gone wrong in Vancouver many times before. We'll see if it happens again. Number 9, moving up 7 spots, we have the Nashville Predators. From a weakened Central Division, Nashville should jump from the 2nd wild card to number 2 in that division. Might be only for a year, if I'm going to be honest. We'll see how Nashville does. But if Duchesne is a replication, Johansson's even better than he was last season if he can get back there. Yossi almost had a 100-point season. Obviously, Saros and Lankinen in net for Nashville. Forsberg re-signed. Everything looks on the up for Nashville. We'll see how they do in the season. They are better as an underdog. So even though they got swept by Colorado last playoff, we'll see if they make the playoffs how far they can go, because they have some experienced guys on their team. Now into the top 8. And we realize that we only have one Central team left. Moving down 7 spots from where they ended last year, the Florida Panthers will not be your back-to-back President's Trophy winners. As I predicted last season, they were. Florida, the Huberdeau Tkachuk trade is odd. I honestly thought you could do Tkachuk and Huberdeau 1-for-1. But instead, you had 4 guys going to Calgary, 1 guy going to Florida. And I think Matthew Tkachuk, while he has that playoff attitude and playoff go-get-him, he hasn't performed in the playoffs. Huberdeau wasn't excellent in the playoffs. So we'll see how both players end up in their new scenarios. But, yeah, so it's going to be an interesting year for Florida if they can replicate that performance. Maybe they're pulling a Tampa. They won the President's Trophy in 2019, then won back-to-back Cups. Is Florida going to be the one to do it next? I guess we'll see. Moving into number 7, moving down 5 spots from where I had them last year, the Colorado Avalanche. Couldn't move them any higher or lower than that, I thought. They re-signed Nichushkin, they lost Kadri, they lost Burakovsky, and they gave McKinnon the richest contract in NHL history, which kicks in next season. Well, not NHL history in the cap for sure. I'm not sure about history. But, yeah, and they have new goaltending as well, Alex Gorgiev and Pavel Francouz. I honestly think after last season, Pavel Francouz should be the starter. Gorgiev did not have a good year with New York when everyone seemed to be having a good year. So we'll see how that plays out for Colorado. Their defense might be the best in the league if you've ever seen it. Makar, Byram, those young guys. And of course, you have guys like Taze and Manson and Eric Johnson, some veterans in there. So we'll see how Colorado does out of the gate. And if they were slow start to last year, and then they took off right after that. So we'll see how Colorado does. Now, number 6, moving up 1 spot from last year, the Tampa Bay Lightning. They didn't lose as much as they did in the previous runs. They've lost whole lines before. They only lost McDonough this offseason, and I think, was that it? They re-signed Elliott. I think that's the only change they've made. They've lost McDonough, who's a good defensive defenseman. They've got guys to place that, like Cal Foote. He can step in, and maybe he'll have that reminiscence of his father, Adam Foote. Maybe he's not related. Maybe he's another relative. We'll see. But yeah, Tampa just outside the top 5 in my power rankings, and it should still be good. Should still be a playoff team. However, they are getting up there in age with Stamkos, Kucherov, and Hedman, and they lost Palat as well. That's another one they lost. Killorn is in his last season of his contract, I think. You have young guys like Cirelli, Cernak, and who's the other one? And Sergachev, who all got their 8-year extensions as well. Now moving up to number 5, moving up 1 spot, Calgary Flames. At the start of the summer, it might have looked like Calgary was about to just tank in the rankings all the way probably about 24. Then, after losing Gaudreau and Tkachuk, they went out and got Huberdeau and Kadri. Older players, but they're in win-now mode. So we'll definitely see for sure how this goes with Calgary. Lindholm's probably going to be moved down to the second center unless Kadri is moved down to the second center. And then Lindholm plays with Huberdeau and Toffoli, presumably. We'll see how that goes. Their defense is another one that's one of the top ones in the league. Markstrom had a good season last year, had an awful playoffs. He needs to rebound because Calgary should be in the playoffs. But we'll see. Number 4, moving down 1 spot, Carolina Hurricanes. Although I don't think they're one of the greatest teams, I think they're in the top 8. I don't think they're 4th in terms of like how they should finish. But this team find ways to win when they don't play that well, and that's, to me, is a sign of a very dangerous team. Brendan Moore has coached this team excellently. They added Brent Burns and Max Pacioretty. Of course, when Pacioretty's healthy, he'll join the team. And we'll see how this goes. It's going to be a very interesting year for Carolina. They should be favorites. They've had the experience now. This should be their all-in year, if anything. And it looks like they're going all-in with what they've got. They also brought in Coughlin from Vegas, part of the Pacioretty trade for future considerations. So, yeah. Now, number 3, moving up 5 spots, and off a conference finals appearance, even though I never think they get back there. Or they have a chance if Shesterkin can replicate his performance, but we'll see. The Rangers. I said last season I didn't think the Rangers would ever get back to the conference final. After their offseason moves, I don't know what to think. They gave away Tyler Mott, or he just let him go. Frank Vetrano, Ryan Strome, all gone. I can't even remember who they brought in. To be honest, they brought in Yaroslav Halak to be the backup since Gorgiev was traded out. Was he traded? I think he was traded. Was it a third or fourth round pick? I don't know. But yeah. So the Rangers going to start being a regular season team, I believe. Sort of like Toronto, they might not do well in the playoffs. This might be that. This also could be that replication of Chicago. It's going to be either the Toronto scenario or I think it's going to be the Chicago scenario. I've repeated this several times. 2009, Chicago lost in the conference final to Detroit. They lost to the Rangers this season, and Chicago then went on and won it next year. Rangers have a strong possibility of doing that, so we'll see how they do. Moving up 2 spots and to lead the Eastern Conference this season, Toronto Maple Leafs. Toronto Maple Leafs, these next 2 years are make or break at this point since Matthews' contract runs out in 2024. It's going to be an interesting offseason when he gets paid. Well, he's probably going to become the next biggest paid player, and then McDavid, once that contract comes in and the cap goes up, it could be a crazy offseason when those contracts happen. However, that's not the next one. That'll be 2 years from now, in which I will almost be legally of drinking age, so that'll be something. And yeah, Toronto, it's another make or break year, as Dubas said. It's a make or break year. His job lies on this season, most likely. They don't get out in the first round again, and it looks like they'll probably be playing either Ottawa or Columbus. Ottawa, they've never lost a playoff series to. Columbus, they have, and that was in the bubble. So we'll see how that goes. Number 1, your President's Trophy winner for this year. It is Edmonton's turn, as I like to say. McDavid, Draisaitl, Nugent Hopkins, Yamamoto, Puljujärvi if he stays. Now defense, you have Nurse and Bouchard, Ceci, who's had a good year, and then Barry. You're trying to move. You have Fogle on the bottom 6 as well. McLeod re-signed for a really cheap amount of money. And then Jack Campbell comes over from Toronto. Going to Edmonton. This might be the final piece that they needed. No Mike Smith, no Mike Koskinen. And Smith's going on LTIR. Koskinen's going for Switzerland. So we'll see how that goes. On Toronto with Murray and Samsonov. We'll see how that goes for sure, because that could be a make or break part of the season. So yeah, here are my power rankings. You have Edmonton at 1, the Coyotes at 32. Who do you think will win the President's Trophy? Who do you think will win the Cup? Give me your power rankings below if you want to type all these out. Thank you guys so much for watching. I look forward to preseason. I'm again not sure if I'll put out any videos this week as I'm still trying to heal. I can just feel myself just internally just being destroyed. So hopefully I feel better. But thank you guys so much for watching, and I shall see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.